Alrighty, so we're gonna move from here and jump right into what it looks like, homeschool live. My schedule is up here, so I'm just gonna start off here and I'm gonna move through mine quickly. So ours is called Abraham Academy. You see up there that ticket, we do a ticket system. I do a ticket system with the kids just to kind of keep them encouraged. So they come in each day. Ticket system is just based off of the fact that they came in, they took out their materials. We have the fold out chairs with the little, I have cubbies in the living room. They each have their own cubby. They got there, they already know, they know the routine as to what they're covering. They know we open with devotion. They know all these things. So if they're moving and they're grooving and they're following along with it, I'll be like, okay, great, we got some tickets to give away, right? I give tickets for all sorts of things, how they're participating when we go through devotion, how they're treating each other, right? How they are when they have situations where a problem that they're dealing with, a math problem, a reading problem, whatever it is hard and they actually are pushing through versus when they give up and they want to maybe cry or fuss or mope, right? Seeing how they push themselves, I use tickets for it, right? And they want the tickets because they know that it's going to lead to some sort of reward. We have just weekly rewards and things like that that we do. Sometimes I have a bin with things they can get, just dig in and take out. And then of course they're trying to get the number because we always do some sort of, we do a the Great Wolf Lodge thingy. I always kind of have it planned around. I know the time frame of when it's going to fall into one of the holy days, so I actually kind of have it planned there. But they are in their minds, I tell them, well, you need a certain amount of tickets in order to go, and so they're working towards that for an activity that they want. As far as for us, I do still break it up within quarters. That's something that I just like to do. It's just something that I'm used to. I do test them at the beginning of the school year just to kind of see where they are, and I follow what's called the backward design. So at the end of the year, this is what I'm looking at as far as the base of what I want to achieve with each of them, especially after I test them and see where they are. And I'll just kind of do sporadic testing in throughout, just to kind of see where they land. And at the end of the quarter, I'm in North Carolina, so we do have to do standardized testing. I test them and I take them to get tested and I get to see where they land. And I have tested my kids, guys. I have tested them and they are not landing anywhere near under. They're actually landing over. And that was a concern for me as well. So if you're concerned about that with them falling behind in the cracks or anything like that, trust me, it will show well. And not just because I'm a teacher, I'm not a teacher in all of those subjects. I've never taught, I haven't taught these different things. That's not my specialized field, but you will dedicate yourself to it. You will structure them and they will learn. So this is our schedule here on how we have it Monday through Friday. This would be our last schedule. So this is the spring. And I'll be honest with you 100%. Our schedule has changed. And those adjustments will surely take place. So we start at 9. And we end at 1. So notice that's half of the day for the school day of when they go to actual school. That's half of our day because you don't really need as much time. When they do hang around for longer time, we're doing like art classes and we do those extracurricular activities afterwards. But as far as structured education, this is what it looks like for us. Monday, I'll just leave it here. And again, we're going to share these slides. You guys can actually look over it. Fridays are our testing days in the sense of we'll just do an assessment, let them go in and test with it. We have the online portal. So, with Abraham Academy, they do click into the online portals and I will load in their tests and things like that where they'll kind of click in to go ahead and do those things. But we test a good deal of the times on Fridays, which is why you see those asterisks that's there. They do take Spanish. We talked about just giving them courses ahead of time. I am fluent in Spanish and, I am licensed with it. So I give them way ahead. They're in elementary level, but they're taking what would be called high school Spanish because I don't feel like it's something that they can't do. They can do it. So they're just getting it really early. So yeah, that's pretty much how our schedule looks here. So I'm just going to move this down so you guys can see it. And again, we're going to share these slides so you guys will be able to see this in more in depth. All right, so Eliana, I'm gonna let you jump in and take that. I'm gonna mute.
Oh, okay, cool. You already have it up. So this is just a sample of one of my boys, and I'm trying to see which one exactly. But nonetheless, the way we usually do is Monday and Wednesdays, they have the same schedule. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, they have the same schedule. And Fridays is a little bit flex where we do some core things like math and chores. Okay. So nonetheless, we don't really have times here. We start at 9. But they have the flexibility really outside of starting off with Bible study, that kind of thing, to kind of do them in the order that they see fit. Um, our my boys are a little older, so that has evolved over time. Before it was a lot more structured in how they had to do things, but now we can have that ability to be a little more flexible. They can have that ability to be a little more flexible. So on the right, as you can see, after I utilize a lot of Google Sheets, so they have their own email addresses, and we utilize a Chromebook that's actually filtered um, for under their age, not even at their age. We make sure that we have control over the device, if that makes sense. But they're able to use the Google Docs and that kind of thing, which also helps them for business because that's what adults are using. So they really are kind of advancing that, and they can just go through and check off as they do each thing. Did you want me to talk a little bit about the curriculums we use, or just kind of how we do our schedule in general?
We're gonna go down to the curriculum in just a moment. Yeah, so just
Okay.
your schedule. Yeah, and yeah,
Yeah. So, definitely, like, once they get to a certain place, they have a break in between to just have a brain break where they can do whatever, whether it's just draw or whatever it is. It can't be on a computer. That's the thing, though. So, just having that break time. Um, and some of these things we'll be doing together. So that's also a thing. Bible study we do together, but some of these other subjects we'll do together, and some of them they're able to do on their own. For example, like their math, we utilize CTC math, and that has videos from a teacher, and then they're actually able to do their questions and tests and everything online. And then I can check to see how they're doing and obviously help them with anything that I need. But they actually have a video of a teacher teaching me certain things. Math is not my strong point. So when Ovadia mentioned that don't let like one thing kind of stop you from doing anything. Just because I have a master's in speech pathology does not mean I know all the subjects and I suck at math, right? So this year actually kind of going back to some of the other myths that Ovadia was talking about, when we started, um, you know, our oldest was like a year ahead in most things. Our youngest was either at grade level and honestly a year behind in math. And now our eldest is 4 years ahead in everything, and the youngest is 3 years ahead in everything. So that's just a testimony to being able to structure um, what they need. And so this year I am going to be utilizing, because they're further ahead, I am going to be utilizing the YMCA homeschool group that Ovadia mentioned for math. So also never feel guilty about having to bring in an expert, because my oldest is just way above what I can really help him well in. My husband is good in it, but he travels for work. So I just want them to be able to continue to go. So um, I'm pulling in that resource this year, but I've always kind of like invested in my math resources because that's not my strength. Where stuff like the language arts and grammar, that kind of thing, I don't spend a lot of money on because I already have that knowledge and resources. So yeah, and then we've used some online courses here and there, like there you see STEM school science. That's something we did. We've done it like twice, but they just have some specialized online science classes that we were really interested in. Also going back to one of Ovalia's points about not having to be in the classroom. Um, for example, like one year we did world geography, and so we were learning about world cultures and that kind of thing. And um, we took a trip to Africa. So we spent a whole 2 months on the continent. And so really being able to learn literally, like actually see in real time in life about what they were reading about, because in uh that curriculum, we started off with Africa. They did all the other continents as well, but we started off with Africa. So it was a very cool surprise, to say the least, for them to be able to experience that firsthand. So just saying, as she's saying, this schedule is flexible, honey. So it's just, that's the awesome part about homeschooling, is that if you want to take it on the road, you sure can. Um, Most of our days, start at 9, and we end at before 2, I would say, and that's including us breaking, taking a break and our lunch. But um sometimes they might have to go a little longer for certain things, or sometimes we're not in this country and we can finish doing, do what we're doing other places. So just keeping in mind that while this is, you're seeing these ideas of how each person is doing it, it doesn't have to look like that, exactly like any of this, and you have to do what works best for you and your little ones.
Absolutely, sis. That is absolutely amazing. And
All
I love
praises.
all praises. I love that it has, like, with this Google sheet, my girls, they do the same, and Amir as well, because this is what we call 21st century skills. That's just where the world is, right? So it's important for them to learn how to do it. And it's very easy for them to navigate with learning that early on. And I also love, sis, that you said that guide. So yeah, we are within that 4 hour time block where we should be wrapping up around 1. Trust you me, I've made them stay till 3. Yeah, okay. They've had days it's like, okay, so we're playing around, we're gonna continue out. And then we've had days where we've ended earlier than that too. So you gauge and you kind of just know what you're dealing with that day, you do have that flexibility as well. So that is the guide of it. But you will, again, as she was saying with that, that flexibility that's needed there, or just knowing how it will shift and work for your home will surely be just that. Thanks so much for sharing, sis.
Okay.
Zakia, I know, Zakia, you want me to stop sharing so you can share your schedule?
Thanks, sis. I'll share mine.
Got it. I'm going to stop right here. There you go.
All right. So I'll share mine.
You're all good.
Okay, y'all. So this is the schedule that I use for my older two. So I have 2 schedules, one for my firstborn Nehemiah and one for Ezra. As you can see, we start early. I have them start early, 7 a.m. with breakfast, and they go down to 1:45. So here we have breakfast. Then for my oldest, he does Algebra 1, English, biology, Spanish. Then we do lunch, 11:15, 11:45. And you'll see when I get to my babies, their lunchtime is different. And then geometry, and then US history is for my oldest. And then, and my second oldest, Ezra, his schedule is the same time-wise as well. It's just the difference is that he has music from 12 to 12:30. They're taking piano lessons, and then it's just different subjects. And then for my baby schedule, so Amikai, my third born, we start at 8:30. And I found, like, again, I was able to find this, and I have a blank copy of this for anyone who's interested. I can definitely send it to you, Obani, and you could share it. But I just wrote in here, 8:30 to 9, we have breakfast. And then for my grandma, we have Mac, break, and you notice between the subjects, it's about 45 minutes. And then I have a 15-minute break for him, just because he's doing 5th and 6th grade curriculum. So during that time, it's like learning a lot. So I want to give him like a longer mental break, and they get breaks in between each subject. History, music on Thursdays, history, and then break, and then Spanish last. And then for my younger two, the same, only difference is there's 40 minutes and then they have 10-minute breaks. And I just chose 10 minutes just to kind of keep them in kind of like the schedule mode. And then lunch, Spanish, science, break, and then social studies. So I know we'll go into curriculum later, but that's kind of the schedule I use. And for my older ones, I was able to pull this, I forgot the site, but I was able to like fill it in, which was nice. And another thing too to mention is this was my schedule when I was doing clinicals. So now it's no longer Sunday through Thursday with Friday off. It's actually Monday through Friday. I just gotta update it just because I had Friday off just to prepare, and then I was also still seeing clients on Fridays early. Whereas now it's Monday through Friday, and my boys have their Sunday fun day back. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing.
Awesome.
And I want to
Awesome.
add too is again, it's really flexible because like this summer, another thing too I want to add with PE, their PE time is at the end. And they have my babies have boxing 4 days a week for 1 hour in the evenings, and then my older ones they do taekwondo, so that's their PE time, and then plus they do swimming, and I kind of change it up a little bit because during swimming, the swimming time is like from 3:15 to 4:50, Monday through Thursdays as well. So that's their PE time.
Absolutely. So as you guys already here, just in it, it's full. All right, come in. It's definitely
And Ovayo, while you're talking to your baby, can I make a point?
Kane.
So also, I'm so glad, sis, that you mentioned that about like the summer schedule, because I didn't mention that our summer, like we technically don't stop, but our summer schedule looks a lot different. So we utilize the summer bridge books. I'm not sure. I can try to look it up before we leave, and just so I can screen share so that you all can see what that looks like. But I utilize those just to make sure that there's not something that I have forgotten, that kind of thing. And then here I have it, just the images. And then
Says you want me to stop share, or did you want
yes,
me to?
please.
Okay, let me stop share. Okay, there you go.
Okay. So yeah, we utilize these books. They go from first all the way to the 8th, I believe, was it 7th? We haven't gotten that far yet, but I just utilize those over the summer just to make sure there's not something that I've forgotten or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they just do a little bit of it each day. But we also do a lot of well, I don't say a lot, but I think this year is a lot more because of the scholarship my eldest got. But we do utilize summer camps over the summer for things that they're really interested in. And also I've used it to kind of pull in anything that I haven't been able to do, usually for like science. So there's a particular camp here that is really good with science. And so they can get a lot of those labs, like dissecting things and all the things that I really don't want to do, to be honest. Okay. And so they're able to do that. But it was pretty cool because we actually took a trip to Florida this summer, and we did like a homeschool day at one of the aquariums, and there was another like homeschool group that was literally there, and they had their own thing going on, and they had a separate like class, and they were doing some dissection, and the boys were like, oh yeah, they were fine that they didn't get to do it because they're like, oh, we've already done that. So just saying, like, there's different ways that you can fill in those things that you might not be able to get to, or that you really just don't like. But that's one of the ways that we do it. In February, I applied for scholarships, and they're need-based scholarships, and some of them are not. So there's all different types of scholarships for summer camps. And so we utilize those over the summer. Basically, wherever we get a scholarship, that's where they go. So it's usually at least about 3 weeks out of the summer they are into a camp. But this year it's a full 4 weeks since my son, the eldest, got that particular one. So just want to share that as well.
Oh, that's awesome, sis. And that is true. I'm happy that you shared that because I think that's something to also highlight with it. Zakia is also year round. So she does also follow a year-round schedule. We stop, and it depends by the year, but we stop in June. we do a 3-week break for hours. And after we do a 3-week break, they return over the summer with 2 days out of the week. So their instruction is they go through, we only review over the material that we covered that school year. So they go through review drills. They cover everything that we've done. This way they are refreshed. And then the other days are more so enrichment. So we use the other days for enrichment with them getting out and exploring and having that sort of access, things like that, activities and things like that. So we do those for the off days in between. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they are in review. So right now they're back in review until I think we get a week or two off before we start back school. Also on my schedule, which we didn't include, but like all of the holy days, we're off those weeks. Right. So we always have those off. Ain't nobody got time to be trying to teach and do all that stuff while we're prepping for holidays. Those weeks are always vacation time, which is amazing. We're out. They know that we're going to be out. And they are excited and prepping for that. So we don't have, those are all breaks, all of those, time periods. So yeah. And I'm sure that that's probably the same for Zakia and Eliana as well. Right. Okay. Got it.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right.
That's your fun. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. It's good.
I'm gonna share a funny story real quick, just because. So the reason why we also homeschool year round, we used to do summer breaks. This was when my older two were very young, and I remember it was one summer where basically and I used to take like 3 months off, like it was just fun time. And so when they came back, my second oldest forgot how to subtract. Like I think he was thinking so much, but no, he forgot to subtract. I was like, yep, well, we're gonna homeschool year round. And so to this day, my boys, my oldest always says, like, thanks to Ezra, we lost our summer breaks. I was like, but then again, I take blame because I did like totally drop the ball during the summer. So yeah.
You just don't you have to. I didn't, we didn't think that. Like, oh, okay, they did great. They're good, but they really do have decline if you don't touch anything at all over the summer. Like they really, really do. That's a real thing. And it's like, stop. We literally did how many hours of this throughout the year? Are you kidding me? And they're just looking at you. So it is important. It definitely is important to have that set up for sure. So what we have here is our social outlets. We've covered that quite a bit. So ladies, if we can just list it more so than going into detail on it, just because we have talked about it quite a bit. So this is just looking at how we incorporate PE into our schedules. How are they establishing friendships outside of that and avoiding the social awkwardness? I feel like we can kind of list through that because we've kind of talked about it kind of clearly, right? So Liana, you just want to list off like what it is that you guys use?
Sure. So yeah,
PE,
we do is a website called Go Noodle. It actually gives the kids points and different goals to reach as they do their exercises, and it's free. Also within our other curriculum that we utilize, Easy Peasy, there's a PE. So we kind of do both of those. And then, like I said, our eldest plays baseball, the youngest plays golf. And there's different, I'm sure in all of your states, there's different programs for that. But I'm going to reiterate, ask for scholarships, people. Don't be afraid. Like, I don't care what your income level is, ask, because you might be surprised. And how do you approach social awkwardness? So, yeah, we do mock scenarios. That's something that we used to have to do a lot more when they were younger. If I would notice they weren't sure how to approach or how to say something. Now that is definitely coming from my speech language pathologist side, because part of what we do is social language, but it's really a good tool for all parents to use. I try not to embarrass them, for example, and then not always hovering. A lot of times you really want to see how they do on their own, so that you can really get a full gamut of an understanding of how your kids are socializing, and then really talk about that at home. And we'll do little scenarios, like if someone says this or that kind of thing, we went through the whole thing, look someone in the eye, shake their hand, those kinds of things. Definitely we still remind them of that, but do that at home, as a family. And they think it's fun. They've always kind of, it's like we're doing little acting things at home. So I think that's helped too, and then we kind of use it for like weird things, like I said, because our children do go in to camp and that kind of thing. When I say weird, I mean temptations of the world. So if someone is talking about this, if you see someone doing this or blah, 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 or the teacher mentions this, blah, 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 like, what would you say? You know, those kinds of conversations, especially since we're raising our children very differently, they need to be able to know how to respond when everybody's saying, oh, what did you get for Christmas or whatever,
Mhm.
you know, it is. So those kinds of things we like to talk about at home.
Absolutely. Great tips, definitely for sure. And then the noodle thingy is amazing because like I think I've heard of it, but I've never actually used it. So I'm excited about that one, sis. Totally gonna be
Oh,
trying
come.
it. That's
All
right.
praises.
All right, Zakia. We know what are your boys into, girl? So we see here.
So as far as if you can see like how we incorporate my babies, they do boxing, my younger two, 6 and 7. And then my older three have been doing martial arts for 8 years. They've been so now they're currently learning the skill of Taekwondo. So they do that. They do that twice a week for 1 hour. And my younger two, they do boxing 4 days a week for 1 hour. And then during the summer, we have sports camps that they're involved in. They just did basketball camp and they're about to do another basketball camp next week. We initially had them in soccer camp this week, but it's going to be over 113 this whole week. So, and it means that we'll be outside. So we're in Arizona, so used to it. So for that, we're like, yeah, we're not going to do this because again, you know, they're in swimming also, and I'm outside with them during that time and the peak of the day. So I don't want them to just be outside for so long. So they're going to have to miss that this year.
Yeah.
But they understand. Also, another thing too, my husband, he works on drills, like doing boxing drills with the boys and have them learn doing their martial arts in the evening, just practicing. And another thing too that I'm a part of a homeschool group here in my region where I live. They're a secular one, so so like whenever obviously they do things that are like, you know, the pagan days that we don't celebrate or observe, obviously we're not there, but they do have on Tuesday what's called Park Meetups, PE. So every month is a different sport. And so they will go and we'll go there Tuesday in the afternoon. We kind of had to take off these past few months just with me graduating and then also with the boys with the camps that they're part of. So because of that, we took off, but they do that. And then one of the ladies who's the leader of it, she she has animals basically. And so we would go to her house, like when her goats gave birth to baby goats, we were there and we were like the boys were holding the baby goats. So that was fun. So we do that. And again, just sports, like we also go to the gym as a family. So my boys like to play basketball or we'll go to the park. Kind of wanted to give like this, because I saw someone had posted about scholarships, which is a blessing that really helped me, is again, scholarships. Here in Arizona, they have what's called the Empowerment Scholarship, and they have something like that in each state. But I know there's different requirements, but I know in Arizona, it's completely open, like there's no financial requirement, child doesn't have to be on the IEP. So that has been a blessing. So because of that, I know every quarter, my boys get around 1,600 or more on a card that I can use for anything. So it's been a blessing that has helped us to pay for their curriculum, pay for all the sports things that they're a part of. So again, like Sister Eliana was saying, like definitely look into scholarships because they're definitely a blessing. As far as socializing, my boys, they keep in touch with close friends. Sadly, their close friends are all the way in Indiana and close to where, you know, we used to live, again, moved from Illinois 4 years ago. So they keep in touch there, do call, text, Google Duo. And also me being a part of a homeschool group, they have what we call them alternatives, alternatives. Associates, because we teach our boys that no, like your friends, you know, are, you know, someone who loves Yah too, and someone whom you know, and that's the important thing. Whereas like kids that you meet, you know, that you don't know well or you know anything like that, and honestly, you know, not in the face, like you know, as it is this day, like as it is now, like those are what we call our associates. And so we say that they do have time with their associates when we do these park meetups, and they also do field trips too, like go to the zoo. I know there's two movies coming out where they're like planning a trip to the IMAX to see like the polar bears in the Arctic. So I want to go there, Father willing, with the boys. So doing that, like, so that's how my boys get socialized. And then they have each other. I have 5 boys. So they're extra social. My oldest is 14. So 14, 13, 10, 6, and 7 and 6. So yeah, they're social by the grace of the Father. And as far as like approaching social awkwardness, I kind of do what Eliana does with the whole mock role play. My husband is like really good with initiating and navigating that. He has them like role play each other, like in case like scenarios come up, if they're asking any questions, like, well, why don't you celebrate Christmas? Or, you know, things like why are you, you know, wearing fringes, like what are those, you know, CCs, you know, things like that. So that's how kind of like we approach it. And so doing that, and then let's see. And another thing too, which is funny, my younger 2 in boxing class, they act really shy. And so we have jokes like, y'all are acting like the stereotypical homeschool kids. Like you're being shy, like when the teacher talks to you, you don't know how to speak, or you speak really, really low, just being funny with our babies. But so we'll like do a role play, like, you know, if she asks you like, how are you guys, or what grade are you, and things like that, like speak loud and clear. And so we help them to like mock that so that they know. So now they're not shy. So now they always come home like, you weren't shy. And I'm like, yeah, no, I saw. So that's how we kind of combat that.
Oops, sorry. I'm here. Give me 1 second, sis. So sorry about that. So sorry. There we go. I was just trying to make sure I had this thing on here. Good. Okay, sorry, let me go back into share. I was trying to make sure I had it up so that it wouldn't go off. But hallelujah, absolutely. That's the extra added benefits with them even having each other. And I think that that's something that we shouldn't really discount. Sometimes we feel like children only get socialization when they're around another child, but that's the blessing of them having siblings, that they're already being socialized. You know, they have a person that's right there, you know, they're building with and they're learning from. Don't underestimate that. Don't, you know, lower that they're not learning from one another. They surely are, because siblings or not, they're still different, you know, and they get to learn from each other. So that's definitely important. As far as myself, I'm going to go quickly here. My girls, so they swim throughout the school year. They swim each week. They swim on Tuesdays and Thursdays each week. For PE, we're a part of a membership of a place that's called Big Air. It's like a trampoline park. And so with them jumping up and dodgeball, that's there, all sorts of amazing things that's there. They love it. So we go there. We try not to go too often so that they don't get wear out with it. I mean, you know, but they love it, and they actually meet a lot of kids there. It's one of those things that for myself, I got to really push myself some days, because it's like, you know, especially with the younger one going, but they love it. The kids love it there. So we go and we let them just run and have a great time. It's amazing in there. We actually get in some of our exercise in there as well. And as far as just like how they're socializing, noticing if it's awkward, my kids don't really have an issue with that. Honestly, I don't believe that they have an issue with, you know, social awkwardness. I have never noticed it. The only thing that I have noticed is when they are overly social. So I have noticed that, where they are like overly, and then they will, but the part of it is just being a kid. I think girls, you know, they'll run and they'll grab hands, but the other kids are grabbing their hands too. It's just I noticed it when there are personalities that don't want to necessarily embrace them and they're still being persistent. So if I notice that, I'll definitely, you know, intervene and just kind of redirect them. And then when we get home or in the car, so that I'm not embarrassing them or making them feel like, you know, I'll just redirect it, but then I will speak with them like, hey, you know, not everybody really likes that. Not everybody wants to, you know, and so you have to know how to pull back some when you see that. It's okay. You just, you know, find someone else to go ahead and, you know, join in with. So that Big Air is a big thing for them. They also there's a homeschool meetups that we have here at Imaginon, which Imaginon is a strict children's library. They have homeschool meetups that take place twice out the month on Wednesdays. So they go to that. They also have home theater that's there that also gives like tons of scholarships and stuff. So my kids go to the theater shows that are there. And then we'll have that as a field trip day / homeschool day, because they'll do their homework there, their work at the library. And then at 12 o'clock, they'll announce that, at 11 o'clock, they'll announce it's time for the homeschool meetup. And then they'll jump in with the homeschool meetup. And I think you probably saw that in the photos in the beginning, where they do all sorts of amazing activities that's there. So they also have a time to socialize with others that's there as well. Parks, of course, we are really strong with the parks, and not just within our neighborhood. We can actually walk to the park at our house, but just like taking them out to other parks where they can meet other children, etc. At all different parts and at all different parts of like in Charlotte, not just within one region, but I like to throw them into different groups where they get to see different people and kind of see how they react and things of that nature. So we kind of do that tons. I can't think of what else they're doing at this point, but that's essentially what they do. And of course they have each other outside, even as simple as opening up your door and letting them run in the yard. I'm like, you guys need to burn some energy. Let's go. Open up the door and run in the yard. If it's sometimes for some of us, if we think that we always have to be on the go every second of it, I was that way too. And if you think that way, sometimes it can be overwhelming, but they will have fun with that too. Take out your hose and shoot them down with the hose. Like it doesn't have to always be out. You can use what's right there, with what you have within your home, your yard, whatever that is. Chalk, taking chalk outside. We go outside and we paint. I'll get like the canvases. We put the paint outside. We'll go ahead and put on music, and they're just out there painting and just going. I know for like some of the Spanish drills, they run back and forth across the lawn doing scavenger hunts. You can literally use your own home. You don't have to always be out paying somewhere, going somewhere. You can be right there at home and have a great time. We pull out board games. Board games is great, and things of that nature. We'll take the board games down to the corner park that's local, where they know kids are coming down there. Take the ball down to the corner park, and just let them go. So kids will always meet people. You'll never have an issue with that. If you're taking them out, they're going to always find somebody. If you take them outside your house, as a kid pops up, they're going to always talk to somebody. So that's just one of the beautiful things about children. They will always get out there and socialize. So yeah, that's what I would say about that as far as just how my children with socialization.